That episode can most be described as interesting. Hey, what's up guys? It's me, Eddie, and I'm back with another review of Vivy, Fluorite I Sung. And this time I'm reviewing episode 7. So, for starters, Vivy is totally and utterly, she's just completely different now. Or should I say, diva. There's a new OP, which makes perfect sense. I mean, well, not only are we halfway through, but the old song has been tainted by the previous tragedy, so to speak. And when I mean that, I mean both in the real world and in Vivy's world. Because I do think it would make sense for Vivy, not want to sing, or Diva, to not want to sing the old song anymore, for obvious reasons. Even though she's had her memory rebooted, there's still probably some unknown trauma, or to her, subconscious trauma attached to that song. But as for the OP itself, I gotta say, I personally did like Sing My Pleasure more than I like this OP right now. I mean, admittedly, maybe the song's gonna grow on me, I don't know. Personally, I did think Sing My Pleasure was... Personally, I like the song more. I like that song the moment I heard it. I thought it was a really good OP. This OP is pretty good too. I personally think Sing My Pleasure was a lot more hype, but... You know what? This OP, it's not that bad either. It's an okay OP. So, yeah, that's about all I have to really say for the OP itself. By the way, does anyone think that the previous arc and this one are both sort of Shakespeare inspired? Because last one was Romeo and Juliet, and this one seems to be Hamlet, but hopefully with a happy ending, because we all know how that one. We all know how Hamlet ends. Before I got into this episode, I kind of wanted to talk about this little theory I had with you. Well, it's not necessarily my theory, but it was something I saw on the r/Vivy Reddit page. Basically, one guy suggested that Matsumoto might be a repeat time traveler. He might have traveled back in time multiple times. As in, this isn't his first time meeting Vivy and, Diva and, seeing all this stuff happen. So, I actually had an idea. It's instead of Matsumoto traveling back, just completing the entire route and then traveling back to the very beginning, what if Matsumoto actually, save scuttling, so to speak? So basically, every time Vivy gets something wrong, he immediately goes back. This might actually, remember all in episode 1 when Vivy gets quote-unquote shot? This might actually explain the intel he sent to the Toak dudes. Vivy getting shot like that is actually happened. But the moment it happened, Matsumoto immediately went back and, fed the false data to those guys. Just a little crazy theory I had. I don't know how you guys are gonna take it. I don't know. Anyhow, I really liked this episode's really interesting. I'm not gonna call her Vivy. I'm gonna call her Diva for now. Diva is just completely and utterly different. She's very charismatic. She's very charming. She's very outgoing, and she's just nothing like the old Vivy we all once knew. Personally, I really like the old. I really like this new Vivy or Diva. I love the old Diva Vivy too, because I thought that was pretty. I thought she was pretty cute, but this one's also pretty fun to watch. She's always snapping her fingers. I don't know where that's from, and she always has these pet theories. Fun fact: I noticed some guy in one of the Reddit comments for this episode pointed out that I don't know about the finger snapping, but the pet theories and all the pet theories she gives out to people are actually what Estella told her. So it's actually kind of sad if you think about it, because she can't remember Estella or any of these old events anymore. So yeah, it's just kind of sad if you think about it. But has she forgotten about Momoka now? Momoka and sure, she might have forgotten about all the nasty stuff that happened, but she's also forgotten about all the good stuff, which is really sad. But speaking of Estella, though, I really liked Vivy going up and smushing the girl's face like that. Because we've seen Estella do the exact same thing to Vivy when she's told her to smile a little bit more. So that was a real blast of the past. No, just in general, this episode has a ton of references. Like the new OP. There's a lot of parallels and there's a lot of differences. Like this versus this, because now the androids are a lot more humanoid. Overall, I feel despite the fact that her memory was rebooted, a lot of the old memories, the old memory residue, is still sort of left in there somewhere, because Vivy threatens, jokingly, obviously, threatens to turn the personal AI into calculators. I actually personally don't remember where that threat is from either, but I know it's from one of the older episodes. So Yeah, that was really interesting to see. But yeah, all the things, the pet theories, all that stuff, like, it shows that, like, deep down inside, the old diva is still so sort of in there. Yeah, I'm not really sure where the finger snapping comes into play into this, but like, I don't know. Maybe it's just one of the part of their new programming. I hope that, like, because obviously she's gonna get her memory back eventually, because that's just how the stories are. I hope that they could incorporate both the interesting parts of this diva and the old diva into like into like the fully remembering, like when Vivy remembers all her old memories. I hope that they could like take both the elements of the old Vivy and the new Vivy and combine it, sort of, you know. Yeah, overall, like, she's a lot more expressive now. She's a lot more human. I mean, she even goes as far as to act annoyed when Ophelia points out that she's 6001, which is pretty old for human years, but then again, Vivy's like a perpetual 20-year-old, or at least has the visuals of a perpetual 20-year-old, because that's just how robots are. By the way, it looks like Diva's actually finally gotten to go onto the main stage, which is pretty interesting, because a lot of people apparently back in episode 1 were like, oh, Vivy's gonna be able to go on the main stage at the very end of the show. Nah, fam, we're already on the main stage. By the way, this whole like a festival that's about to start, it really does remind me of the 2009 Songdo Future Festival that I went to as a little kid. Like just wanted to point that out. Also, another thing I want to say, Ophelia is freaking adorable. Like, I mean, she's also really clumsy because she just keeps falling over and smashing into stuff. I mean, she's so precious. We need to protect her. Like, Ophelia, she's so adorable and she's so shy. Just, I have a weak spot for danderes, right? That's me. I have a weak spot for danderes. Fun fact: Ophelia in Latin means "help me," which is very fitting for both the Ophelia in Hamlet and also for this Ophelia, who's about to. I'll get to that one later. I'm also really glad we got to see Matsumoto again. And after all the years have passed, like, it seems that Diva being annoyed at Matsumoto, that just doesn't change. It looks like he's abandoned the idea of using Diva for his tasks. I mean, which, after finding out what happens in episode 6, that does make sense. But I don't know. I just found that really interesting. I'm also really not sure what what that was supposed to be. Like, the whole the rogue robot that tried to attack Vivy or Diva, and that's when Matsumoto saved her. I'm not quite sure what that was supposed to like represent, but I don't know. I don't know if that's like a big Chekhov's gun that's gonna come back later. I don't know. Speaking of Chekhov's guns, what about that guy? Like, remember that guy, right? Who looks just like the Toak guy from episode 1? We saw that guy. Like, what's his deal? Maybe it's his son. Maybe it's like a relative of his. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. I hope we do get to see the original Toak guy eventually, because, you know, that guy was really interesting, because besides, he's had so much of, like, connections to Vivy that at this point that I feel like he has to come back in some form. So, yeah. I also kind of forgot to mention this in the last review. Well, that was a half-point review, which actually isn't a half-point review because there's 13 episodes. There's going to be 13 episodes in Vivy instead of 12, but that's beside the point. I also wanted to point out that last time we actually did sort of get like a flashback, like a hint into the Toak dude's like backstory. So I'm really excited for that. I mean, like I'm actually kind of curious. Like that actually got me kind of curious now, because back when I was like reviewing episode 6, I was just like all too focused on like Dr. Saiki and Grace, like the whole tragedy there, to like actually like talk about that too much. But looking back on it, I did notice that the Toak dude he seems to have an interesting backstory. Something about like a piano. I'm not really sure what that is, but I'm whatever that is. I also think that he has to come out more, because we got to see what like his backstory is. So I'm really excited to see that as well, whatever that will be. Regardless, I'm glad that after, you know, Diva agrees to like go with Matsumoto's little plan of saving Ophelia, I'm glad that she's sort of back to being the original Vivy. Sort of back. I hope the memory loss isn't permanent. Overall, I wasn't really sure how they'd outdo like episode 6 in terms of raw feels, but the callbacks to episode 1 and like all the references to the previous episodes were really nice to watch. Last thing I kind of want to talk about is music. The music was pretty good as usual. I really liked Ophelia singing. I really liked Vivy singing. Overall, there's not really much I could say. It was very good as usual. As a matter of fact, I would actually argue that it was a little bit jarring to hear the good music at times, because the vibe of the show right now is it's completely different. It doesn't feel like the sci-fi semi-Terminator-ish show that Vivy originally was. It feels kind of slice of lifey, honestly. So to hear like the very like complex, like high quality Vivy music was like, you know, the non-diegetic music, obviously. That's what I'm talking about. It honestly was a little bit jarring. But yeah, once again, the songs are really, really nice. By the way, this is just something I noticed and I really wanted to point out. This is probably just me, but you know that song Vivy or Diva starts singing after Ophelia gets off the stage, like the song she's like Diva song? That song kind of reminded me of Astro Lost in Space. I don't know why, but the song there, it just kind of sounded similar to Astro Lost in Space's OST. It just kind of reminded me of that for some reason. Not sure why. It's an observation. Overall, I think this episode's like a real breather episode. Like, obviously, it's not like, you know, the feels level of episode 6, but overall, it was just a very plain episode, but, you know, it was a good episode, and it was very welcome to me. I really enjoyed it. And it's a good breather. Like, it's a good breather episode after, like, the tragedy and, like, the sorrow of episode 6. So, overall, today's episode wasn't as, like, hype as, like, episode 6 or episode 5. Which, as I said, is perfectly normal. Because, remember back in the other review, I said, I'm not sure how they're going to be able to, like, top this one in the sense of, like, raw feels or raw emotion. I said, today's episode is a breather episode. It's not super hype. It's not like, oh my god, what's, like, my heart is pounding. It's a breather episode. It's very relaxing to watch. It's very calm. I feel like it's kind of like the calm before the storm. I have a feeling this arc is going to be a lot more wholesome, though, because from the pattern we've seen so far, I have a feeling it's going to be a wholesome arc. Just saying. Yeah, and apparently we have to save Ophelia now, who's going to kill herself because reasons. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Anyways, I really hope this arc is like a better ending than the previous one, because I really like Ophelia. She's freaking adorable. And yeah, I'm really, and that's that. I hope you like this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, because if you don't, you will forget all your memories. Yeah. Anyways, once again, I hope you all enjoyed that video, and that's it, folks. That's it for this week. The sky's up, and you guys are awesome. I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye!